Hey everyone, it is Lisa and Alysha, and we are both designers here at Primitive Gatherings. And today we want to introduce to you our weekend quilts. So we're kind of throwing this out there now because Alysha is visiting from California. So we're doing this a little early, but we don't have all the details yet on when the weekend quilts will start, but they will be soon, and I think we're going to do one a month to start, right?
Yep.
Okay. So what we thought we would do is introduce the first one to you and then give you a little tutorial on how to do flying geese.
And I think it's good to talk about what the weekend edition is for, which is, you know, we get into these quilt projects, but every once in a while, we just want to be able to knock one out.
For a weekend. Like, these are going to be quilts that you can get done in a weekend. And so very simple elements, not a lot of, ton of piecing. So we're not going to be doing 2,000 half square triangles. So these are quick and easy quilts that you can give away for gifts or holidays or stuff like that. So just easy here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
well, this one is called Falling Triangles, and it features flying geese.
Yeah, and we have it orientated sideways right now so you can see the colors, and it does just keep going in rows all the way down. I don't know how much of it you can see, but we pointed it sideways for now. But isn't it great? It's super simple, very colorful, and how many different
It's 20.
squares?
It's 105 flying geese, and it's technically 26 colors, but you need like one extra.
So about 27 different colors in this quilt here. So not too much. 105 flying geese, no problem.
That's right. And so there are lots of methods for making flying geese out there, but this is the method we use, and there are a couple reasons for it. One, it really minimizes waste, so you can get everything you need out of your fabric and not be throwing scraps away.
So we belong to the school where we want to make things the exact size. I don't care for making something bigger and trimming them down. We will show you how to do that, however, but this is how we do things to make things the exact size needed.
Yeah, and I know that there are varying feelings towards flying geese.
Right, yes. Everybody thinks they're the hardest thing to come out.
Yes, and there is such a thing as what we call a poor man's flying geese, which is 2 half square triangles put together. But if you embrace the flying geese,
you can do a flying geese.
Yeah.
They're simple enough.
I mean, sometimes it makes sense because if you're making a ton of, half square triangles, you just need to orient some to look like flying geese. It's not worth the, cutting separately.
Right, no, 2 half square triangles together, unless it's a design element, like you're doing a diagonal, we just did a block that had a diagonal and it was 2 half square triangles, making that diagonal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this is just all I can say is embrace the flying geese.
Yeah.
Embrace it.
Right, and here's the deal. Once you, not once, but as you become a quilter and you become better and you hone your skills, perfection really is highly overrated. I know we all want to have the best points and we don't want to chop any off, but really in the end of the day, finished is good.
Yeah, finished is great.
Yeah.
So flying geese are always twice as wide as they are tall.
Yep.
So that means they can technically be any size, but we work within 3 basic sizes, and I have a little cheat sheet in my sewing room, so I know exactly what the 2 measurements are for what we call the goose and the wings, right? So this is the goose, and then what you can't see here because the background is the same color is these are the wings. Okay, so with this method, you start with what you're going to use for the goose.
And I think we're gonna what size are we gonna make today?
We're going to make finished 2 by 4.
Okay.
Which means unfinished is going to give us 2.5 by 4.5.
Right, unfinished.
Unfinished.
And just quickly for the math for that, I can tell you because I've done this for 20 some years, is that if you want 4 inches wide on your geese, that's 1 1/4. So if you want finished 4, you are going to cut your square 5 1/4. Always, no matter what size you want it to be. Maybe you want it to be an odd size. Add 1 1/4 to it and it'll come out to be the size you want. However, you got to remember then that the wings are a different size.
Yeah.
So the wing is like a half square triangle.
Yes, the wing is the half square triangle. So the other thing that is a benefit of this method is that when you do half square triangles or flying geese with different methods, sometimes you end up with the bias on your vertical or horizontal.
Right.
And that makes for a quilt that'll, if you're hanging it, it'll eventually kind of like...
Yeah, you don't want bias edges on your straight parts that are going in.
Right.
So that's why we're going to cut this flying geese into 4. You're going to get 4 out of a square, and you're going to cut it on the diagonal twice. And the bottom of the goose is going to be the straight of grain. So you'll see how that turns out. Alysha's going to cut those for you.
Yes, so we're starting with our 5 1/4 inch square here. And because this is exact, you want to try and be exact.
Yes. And you want to lift that up without moving stuff around. And Alysha's overreaching here to get in the center of the camera, so it's a little awkward. So don't mind her if it takes her a little while to line things up.
Remember, pressure through your ruler where you're going to end up so you don't get the wiggles.
So what she means is don't be holding your ruler down here. Put the pressure here where you're cutting.
Yep. And so now what we've ended up with is the beginning of 4 flying geese. So when you're figuring out your flying geese, you know, the math is always if you need 4, that's 1 square.
Yeah, 1 square makes 4 flying geese.
So these are the geese bodies here, and then these are going to be the wings. And
I want to tell them the measurement for this one. So when you're doing, we want these to be 4 inches, so that means we need that wing to finish 2 inches. So the triangle measurements then are 7/8. So if we want 2 inches, we need to cut 2 7/8.
Yeah. So these are 2 7/8 right here, and we're going to set these aside. And where you get 4 of these from 1 square, you're only going to get enough for each flying geese from 1 square. So if we have 4 here, we're going to need 4 squares to make all the wings we need. So that's the only difference in how many you end up needing.
It's 1 big square for the goose and 4 squares for the wings.
That's right. So this time we're only going to cut once diagonally.
Because again, it's all about the grain, and we'll point out, if you want to just show them. So straight of grain, because here's the diagonal cuts there, and then straight of grain here. So everything is cut straight of grain now, and that's how you want that. You don't want to cut this flying geese once on the diagonal, because then the bias is on the wrong edges.
Yeah. And if that doesn't make sense, just trust us.
Yeah, just trust us, and you will learn this as you go along. We understand that there's a lot of beginners out there, and for you seasoned veterans, this is probably all on repeat, but it doesn't hurt. Sometimes you learn some new things. What did you just learn the other day from me that you said, I never knew that? I can't remember what it was now, but do you remember?
I mean, every time I come here, I learn so much.
Okay, but she was like, oh my God, I never did anything that way. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but that goes both ways.
Yes,
you know, you're always.
You bet.
But what's nice too is that as you're doing your quilting journey, every once in a while you're like, oh, and then suddenly you're the person who gets to teach someone else something.
Yes. Right, and I would stack these like 3, 4 at a time, as long as they're nice and even, and you can cut them all at once. So cut a bunch of them there on that one, just so we have enough to finish our 4.
Sure thing. Are we going to do the 3-inch ones?
Yeah, we're going to do that one after.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and build a flying geese or 2.
So now, unfortunately, you do have to have a pressing step between, like in building the flying geese, it is a 2-step sewing process.
Yeah.
You add one, and then you press, and then you add the other one.
Right, so I'm going to do this to start. I'm going to add these to one side, press, and then we're going to add that second wing.
Yes.
All right, so we're just lining them up.
And these are the long sides. When the pattern says place the long sides together, it's this long side of the
long diagonal.
And do we want to show them that the excess of the wing should be at the top, and that this corner should be snug in the bottom?
Yep. So what she's saying is you're going to have this little tip here – coming out the top, and we want that on there. So a couple of them, we'll just do 4, right?
Yeah, 4 is always a good number.
And it doesn't hurt to take some of your scrap fabrics and test them before you start with your real fabrics. Hey, you're a good assistant. All right, there you go.
Okay.
Let's take them apart. Do we have our little...
I don't know, I can use
No.
this guy. All right, do you want to talk about pressing open versus pressing towards the wing?
Well, I always, on my flying geese, I always do this. Do you press open?
I do press open.
Right. So,
yeah.
so see, it doesn't matter what you do. It's personal preference. All right. I don't like pressing those open. I'm lazy.
I like pressing them open because I feel like if there's going to be any, I can see the line, and when we put the next wing on, like the bulk is just even.
Distributed.
Yes.
Yep. So it's all in what you want to do. There is no right or wrong way. You pick which way you want to do it.
So we'll press 2 open and 2 to the white? Okay.
We'll see if it makes a difference.
Okay. This is like a bake-off,
Yes.
but for flying geese. So we're going to do Lisa's 2 here first. Oops, that got a little chalky.
Yeah, you got to purge those. There you go.
Okay.
Get the steam out of the hose.
Okay, so those are those 2, and then I'll press these open while you're adding.
Okay. So now I'm just going to add the second wing, and you're going to see that little triangle poke off. So leave that there. I leave those on until I'm all done.
Now I will say if I'm doing 1/2-inch triangles finished, I probably won't press open.
Yeah, do you press paper triangles open? No, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah.
So that hole, when I just pressed, put the dark on the bottom, it doesn't matter for that then. If you screw that up, you can just open it up, huh?
Yeah. Okay. So now with those few steps, you have 4 flying geese done. I'm going to press these open real quick, and then we're going to show you how accurate the measurement is when you start with the right size squares. There's one pressed open. Also, this fabric is not starched, and it makes a big difference.
So now I can trim off the dog ears here. And you can use your rotary cutter or your ruler, or you can use your rotary cutter or your scissors, whatever one you like to do. All right, so I got 2 trim there. You
Okay,
wanna do that?
perfect, yeah. So take a look at these. With those 2 steps, you're all done. And when you trim off the ears, you've got super straight lines. And showing you right here, the key to flying geese is making sure that you have that 1/4 inch at the top of the point. That means that when you sew with your 1/4 inch seam, you're going to have a nice, clear, crisp point right at the top.
Yeah, we're not going to lob it off.
Right. So we're going to now move into sewing with oversized wings, but look at this size. They're just absolutely perfect.
Yep.
And we got 4 done in no time.
All right. So we're going to show you the alternate way of doing this.
And this is not just an alternate way, but this is also sometimes something happens or sometimes you only have so much. What we're going to show you is that every flying geese can be trimmed to the size you need as long as it's bigger than what you need when you start.
So a lot of patterns out there have you cut oversized and then trim down. So read your pattern thoroughly so you know what you're doing ahead of time, because I will notice that right away because of the 1 1/4 inch measurement. So if something's a nice round measurement, you know that they're making it big and trimming it down.
So these wings here, whereas these were 2 7/8, which is the exact measurement you need to make the proper flying geese, these are cut at 3 inches. So sometimes it is hard to, depending on your ruler, get that exact 2 7/8. So we just want to show you that if you end up with a little bit larger of a square, you're still going to be okay.
It's just going to take more time and more effort.
Which is Lisa's favorite thing.
Yeah, I'm all about efficiency. I want to get things done. I don't want to, because by the time I make this and I trim all the way around it, I could be having 4 more flying geese done, is my point. So that's why I don't care to do this method. All right, so now I'm just going to lay these on here, and we're just going to have a much more over.
Yeah, so you still start with lining them up at the bottom here. You're just going to have more at the top, and that's not going to affect the end result.
I think we only can do,
Okay.
get by with doing 1.
Okay.
But you do have to make sure that these are lined up perfectly. So if you look it over and you see white or you see red, that's not good. You want them to match perfect as you can get them. And that's where sometimes I notice a cutting error.
Yeah,
Yeah, if they don't match up perfectly, you know you cut something wrong.
that's right. All right, so now we're just going to open this. And now, well, we can show just by laying this on top of it that it's bigger because the wings that we started with were bigger.
So I want to just show the difference here between the pressing.
Yep. So
All right.
these are open and then these are pressed to the white.
Still come out the same.
Yep. Okay, so this is how to trim down your flying geese. So again, the most important thing about your flying geese is preserving that 1/4 inch above the top point. If you do that, your pattern will look great, your blocks will go together because you're going to be sewing and not worrying about cutting off that point. And then if you're going to have any kind of wonkiness, then it gets kind of pushed down into the bottoms, which is a little more forgiving in a design. But you have to have a ruler that has a 45-degree line on it. And you start by putting that down in the bottom right-hand corner. And then you find your measurement. So we need 2.5, and we need to make sure that we have a 1/4 inch. This is not my ruler.
It's my ruler.
Do you want to do it then? I can't
No,
see it.
I wouldn't
very
have done it that way, but you just keep going.
well. Okay. Well, how would you have done it?
I would have just trimmed that, and then I would have made sure my 1/4 inch there and trimmed that.
Okay.
I never even would have thought about putting that 45 in the corner.
Oh, that's how I always know that I've got it correctly.
Yes, you do. So then you're going to trim those 2 sides, right?
Yep. And then once you have this bottom corner, then that goes right to your 2.5 by 4.5 measurement.
That's the half.
Okay, thank you. This is using new rulers. And then you don't, wait, that's not right, is it? Yeah. Then you don't have to worry about anything because if this is here and you know you have your 1/4 inch above, you just trim the rest off. And you have now the exact same size with just the added step of trimming.
And time.
And time.
And time is our most precious asset. That's all I'm going to say.
That's true. You're not wrong.
All right, no, but some people, perfection, they want that perfection. And so we showed you how to be perfect if you need to be.
Yes.
All right? And
Yeah.
some people need to be and some people don't.
Yeah.
So
But flying geese are fun. I remember days where it's just all I did for the whole day in my sewing room was make flying geese.
Simple, you only need 105 of them. You can easily get these done. They're made out of charm squares, and it makes a beautiful quilt.
And I think this would actually look really cool if you inverted the color. So if you did a dark background and you did light,
yes,
that would be really
options.
pretty.
Always lots of options. Yeah. All right, so that's it for our first weekend video. We will not always have Alysha here with us when we do this, but we'll do our best to see what happens.
Yeah,
all right.
Maybe I'll come into a live sometime or something. Yeah,
pop in.
All right.
All right. Thanks for joining us today.